Hey guys, this is Oblivion. I'm going to be showing you my song Falling Apart, taking you through a breakdown of the production and songwriting. If you haven't heard it yet, link is in the description, or you can just watch this video. Let's do this. I guess we'll start at the intro. Basically what's happening here, I have these plucks that I played from my Prophet 8. I kind of built the song around this melody here. And then I have these pads as well. Just a filtered hyper saw. As we kind of build up into the next section, I have another pad here, and that is also from my Prophet. As you can see, I kind of have an EQ that's opening, essentially just a low-pass filter. Down here I have a respace. It's just a preset that I have in Serum, and then it builds into this. So those drums, this is just a stock Logic plugin SoCal kit. Now these pads come in. So this is just a hyper saw with an LFO down here modulating the low pass filter, just like on the attack of the chords. Then I got a second layer here, essentially doing the same thing, just a different type of hyper saw. I've got this ARP going down here. And that's made up of 3 different layers. So the first one is pretty simple. It's just a square wave, as you can see in Serum here. And then I put some processing on it. So this is it dry. Then I have this plugin from Waze called Brower Motion, just kind of shifting the pan. This Comet plugin, which is a reverb from Polyverse. I have a second square down here. It's an octave lower, just has a slightly different processing. And then I've got this lead. It says pluck art, but it's a lead. So I think I'll show you what's happening with the vocal chops down here. Basically, these are just splice samples that I've kind of chopped up and made different melodies out of, and then added a bunch of processing to. So this first one, if I took everything off, it would sound like this. Maybe I'll solo it. So the first one is basically just pitching it to the key. I've got a Pro C compressor here, just keeping the dynamics consistent, and then I have Pro Q, crazy EQ, going for that kind of filtered sound. I have the Swider plugin. Essentially it's just like a mid-side thing, but I'm kind of pushing it to the sides because I have some other things that are in the focal point. This is Wider from Polyverse. I believe it is still free, so if you want to grab that, it's definitely a useful tool to have. And then I have ProArt for reverb here. And essentially that's mostly what's happening with the vocal samples here. Here's another one. On this one I have Little Alto Boy, which is another pitch shifting plugin. I have the pitch at plus an octave, plus a 4-inch shift. Mix in a little bit of the dry. Just a little bit of EQ, and then the Comet reverb. And what is happening here? Some sort of like panning build-up thing that I did. Going into the next section. This is kind of like the main hook vocal chop thing. This is what it sounds like dry.
Falling apart, got me falling apart, got me falling.
So sound shifter for putting it in the key multiband. I think what I did here was the F sound. The F sound was a little too sharp, so I'm just kind of compressing that range of frequencies. Little altar boy. De-ester to get rid of a little bit more of the sibilants. And then a wider plugin again. EQ. So this one is automated pretty much throughout the whole thing. So if we open up the automation here, you can see, yeah, once it gets to this point, it's just... yeah, just to kind of add a little bit of more shaping and build. And then reverb. Right here I got this other sample. There's not a whole lot of processing on that other than pitch shifting and then just drowning it in reverb, kind of throwing it in the background of the song. So that is a mess, but basically what I did, I think I just took a random sample and then made a melody out of it by taking certain notes and just smashing them together. Okay, so as we go into the actual build-up, that little pitch shift thing that you hear, so I have this bus up here, which I'm sending all of my instruments that are being sidechained, but I ended up just throwing a pitch shifting plugin on there to kind of get all the instruments at once. And it is automated. This is a pitch shifter by Kilohertz. So right here, it's going up 0.66 semitones. That's pretty much all that's happening there. So we get to this build up. Not a lot of new things come in except for some percussion down here. It's mostly just like filtering. I'll take you through this percussion first. So my idea was to have claps in the background, and then as it moved along, an actual snare would kind of blend in. And then what's happening here with the kick, I'll show you exactly what's happening here. So it's kind of just in the background, kind of pulsating. As it builds up more, you start to hear more of the details, and then you actually start to feel more of the bass from the kick. What's happening on this bus here with all my instruments is just more EQ automation. Yeah, so it's not really a lot of things going on. I didn't really add much from the section before it. It's kind of just more of filter shaping to kind of build it up more. And then we go into the drop. So how I kind of start out with something like this is I come up with like a rhythm in my head for the saws, and then I'll lay down the drums first, starting with kick and snare. And then from there, some saws. So that's one layer of saw, which is basically serum again. Just a hyper saw, really simple. Also, there is LFO modulating just the volume. And then the layer underneath is another hyper saw, which is a little more noisier sounding. Just kind of fills out more of the frequency spectrum. Next would be the sub. Then I've got this lead thing underneath which follows the rhythm of the saws. And that's coming from Spire. Then after that I kind of filled out a bit more of the percussion, so if I just solo that here. So basically I have like this primary sort of snare sound. So I've got a clap, a pop, and then a second pop, which happens on every second one. Tambourine, hi-hat closed, and then hi-hat open, I believe. That little tiny dot right there, that's just a reverse kick going into the drop. I just find it makes it a little more impactful. That's my drums for the drop. This channel right here, which is kick SC kick sidechain, is basically just sending a signal to my compressor on this bus. Every time there's a note, it ducks in volume. I also have the snare. I'm sending it just halfway out, so it's kind of ducking on the kick and the snare a little bit. The other main thing that's happening in the drop here is these vocal chops. So what I did, let's see. So yeah, basically what I did was I found another vocal phrase and chopped it up, and then did a bunch of processing to it. So this is it dry. So I think what I did before I cleaned up the session was I actually recorded this into Melodyne and then tuned it, kind of put it all together and then bounced it out. And I have this other track here which I edited even further, but basically all the processing is on here. So I have compressor, de-esser, I have this plugin called Manipulator, also from Infected Mushroom and Polyverse, just doing a little bit more pitch and formant shifting. Yeah, some multi-band compression, a little bit of EQ, just clean some things up. Because this isn't going out that sidechain bus that I was talking about before. This is actually just another compressor that is being triggered by that kick sidechain. And then some reverb. This one's just like a short, smaller room type of reverb. There's a few more things that just kind of fill out certain moments in this. So I got all sorts of reverse saws kind of swelling back into right after the saws drop out. This little saw glitchy thing is basically just these saws bounced out, and then it's got a bit crusher, distortion, wider, just some saw swells, and then this little square, pretty simple square wave, and then this lead thing, which is also serum. Just kind of fill out the silences with little melodic moments. And then it goes into kind of like the intro section repeated here. And then I've got, I guess like a verse section here. A few more instruments are introduced. Right up here we have this kind of kalimba sound. That is coming from Omnisphere. And I've got these plucked chords. Basically, I just made this out of a hypersaw with LFO affecting low pass filter. We'll go down to this percussion section here. See what's going on there. I got a kick. Got 3 layers of kick actually. I've got a low, mid, and high. Here's the low. Here's the mid. Here's the high. And then all together. And then I've got this trap snare. Another layer to that snare. It's kind of like a rim click. Just a little bit extra percussion to fill out some of the space between the kick and the snare. Every now and then I have like these, I guess they're like rim shots or clicks, kind of just like Foley sounds. Just to accent some of the snares. And then as we fade into the next section here, I have these ARPs that come back in, but they're filtered in. And then I have main melody here, which is just my System 8. Played a few lines on there. Then after that, we kind of just go into the same drop, and then halfway through I do a little solo. I like adding little things like that, like these little shouts. Just kind of adds to the energy of it, I think. My synth solo over here. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole song. If there's anything in there that I didn't cover and you want me to answer some questions, just leave a comment and I'll get back to you. If there's anything specifically that you want me to go more in depth, I can definitely make another tutorial. If you want to listen to the song, link is down below. Yeah, other than that, stay safe and I'll see you later.